back to another Q&A session. I'm Mark with Dark Horse Fitness. Thank you for stopping by. Please remember to like, subscribe, post your comments. Love to hear what you have to say. And if you have any questions, I'll see if we can go ahead and fit it into the next session. Let's go ahead and get started. When we look at body mechanics, one of the things that I was asked was regards to scapular retraction, and that's specific to movements like bench press. So when I say that, think of your shoulder blades being either neutral or back when you do the movement. I prefer to keep my shoulder blades fixed or neutral or slightly back. I try not to let them move forward through the motion, whether it be a fly or a bench press. What I've found is when I'll let my shoulders roll forward, I'll start to engage my lats and my shoulders a little bit more, taking away the emphasis of the chest, which is what I'm trying to do in that movement. So the next time you're doing a bench press or a fly, try that. Try to keep your shoulder blades back or at least neutral and not let them come forward so you can keep that emphasis on the chest. Next question is around hypertrophy and rep ranges. So when we look at how can we get the most out of our workout with going through the set, the reps that I found and documentation that I've been able to identify on the internet and through some other books and studies is anywhere between 5 to 30. Generally, it's taken either mechanical failure, whereas you're through the movement and as soon as you can't do a perfect rep, you stop, or 2 to 3 reps of total failure, and that's where you may hit that mechanical failure. You'll drop the weight, let's say half, and do another 3 to 5 reps, or you may have someone assist you with another couple reps to get past that point. Either one of those will work, and again, done within that rep range. What you need to go ahead and identify is what works best for you. I've had several clients that do great when they're working with mechanical failure, and they're anywhere between the 8 to 20 range. I've had others that, really to get that growth to come about, they need to have the drop sets. They need to have 4 sets where someone will help them with that last extra few reps. But another piece of it you need to look at is recovery. If you're consistently doing drop sets, consistently hitting that failure point, and you don't have the right sleep, the right nutrition, you're going to burn out real quick. And what's going to happen is while you're trying to, the goal of is adding muscle, hypertrophy, you're going to find that it's just the opposite that's happening. You're actually losing muscle tissue. Immune system gets compromised, and especially in this day and age, you really don't want to get sick. So keep mindful of that. Also, make sure that you're logging your workouts so that you can keep track of what works. Rep ranges, whether it's mechanical failure or you're going to total failure with the addition of drop sets. And it's not to say that you might do a mesophase of mechanical failure, and then after a certain point, and it could be 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, you switch more to a rep range that includes a drop set or two on the last set of an exercise. And again, that logbook's going to be very beneficial for you to review, something that you can look at every week, track your progress, and then make some decisions at that point. Next question comes around tempo or rep speed for muscle growth. Above most, when we're looking at hypertrophy and not power, we want to look at controlling the weight through the range of motion. So a power movement, generally they'll use a lighter weight, and they're going to be much more explosive through the exercise. Whereas when we're looking at hypertrophy, generally, we're looking at a concentric. So let's say on bench press, as you're pushing, that's 1 to 2 seconds as far as your bar speed. There's the pause, and then as you lower it, the eccentric portion of it, that ideally is going to be anywhere between 3 to 4 seconds. Not letting it drop, not going with a bounce off of the chest. That in itself can lead to a number of injuries, shoulder injuries, pec tears, you name it. It's just inviting bad things to happen. You're better off to control the negative. It does a couple different things. One is that it maximizes the actual micro tears within the muscle fibrils, the smallest part of your muscle that you have, and that's what we want to do. It increases metabolites being activated within the muscle, which has a direct correlation to muscle growth. And there's been numerous studies. University of Kansas study done in 2017 showed that those who did just concentric, and then there were those that focused on including a 3 to 4 second negative. Those that did the negative showed an increase in both strength and muscle density by almost double. By just simply adding in a 3 to 4 second negative into each one of their sets. Something to keep in mind, it's also going to keep you healthier. Remember that your muscles have 10 times or just about the amount of blood flow that comes through, that includes nutrients for repair, than your tendons, your ligaments. So you want to be just careful of that as you're going through your exercises, because at the gym, if your goal is hypertrophy, it's how do I create as much stress on the muscle as possible. And this is one way that I found to be very successful in adding size, either to myself on season or off season, or with my clients. Next question comes around where to pull calories from carbs, proteins, or fats. This one was specifically around pulling your calories from protein. This is not something that I advise. Protein at the core is the building block. It breaks down to amino acids that your body uses for recovery. Anything from obviously your muscles as you work out, your internal organs, your hair. It has direct correlation to your immune system. It's just a lot of positives. I would look, if you're going to pull calories, pull it from your fats and your carbohydrates. Generally, I look for a 1 gram per pound of protein per day for people to use as far as their baseline for where your calories are. Now, it may fluctuate. Those who haven't had a lot of protein into their diet, let's say they're only consuming 0.3, 0.5 grams per pound, jumping to that 1 gram can cause a lot of digestive issues, and slowly increasing to that is generally what I suggest. But yeah, if you're going to look at pulling calories for your weight loss, I would look at pulling from the fats. I would look at pulling from the carbohydrates. I would look at increasing your actually output through activity to burn those calories. But I wouldn't look at pulling back on protein. Protein in itself is one of those, of the nutrients, protein, carbs, and fats. It actually costs a good amount of calories in order just to process and digest. It has a thermogenic effect on your body. It's anywhere between 20 to 30% of the calories you ingest in the protein is used, through the digestive process. Something to keep in mind, something you don't see with the fats and the carbohydrates. Another question is, does donating blood actually hurt my progress in the gym making gains? Everything that I've seen, I would say no. You can, obviously, when you donate blood, you don't want to go right to the gym and work out. You want to make sure that you get a good meal in. I would suggest it's, the rest of the day you just relax. But, generally, unless you have some underlying medical issue, it's not going to impact your gains at all. Actually, it has a bunch of positives that come into play. One of which is it lowers the hematocrit level in your body. It also helps increase blood viscosity. Think of it this way: it's kind of like almost like an oil change. When you donate blood, it lowers when you haven't donated blood in a while, your blood gets thick. By donating the blood, your viscosity changes in the sense that it's a little bit thinner. Your body goes ahead and produces more red blood cells, more white blood cells. That in itself can lower heart attack risk. by 80%, so something to keep in mind. It's also kind of a nice thing to do. A lot of people out there need it. And in males, a positive of it is it's going to help lower our iron levels. Women just have to be careful because generally they'll have lower iron levels in general, but they'll generally give you a kind of a overview screening when you donate blood, kind of where your cholesterol is, iron levels are. So you get a little insight for free. Might even get a T-shirt out of it. This question comes from a female client who just started. So her question was around, how do I lose the fat in my lower half, specifically the glutes, but I don't want to lose any size. Unfortunately, generally that doesn't happen quite the way we want it to. It's going to depend on how much actual adipose fat tissue you have in your lower half versus muscle. So if, let's say, your glutes are 60% fat, you're going to lose a good amount of size. But with the right program, the right training, the right eating, being consistent, you're going to go ahead and build up the glutes. You're going to sculpt them the way you want them to look. And they're going to, this time, be made primarily out of muscle as opposed to, like I said, 60 to 40 percentage of fat versus muscle. Like I said, it's going to be diet, it's going to be training, and overall it's a consistency that's going to get you there. But I'm just honest in the sense of to go in thinking that you're going to maintain your size and trim them up generally doesn't happen. There's always those rare outliers, but usually what happens is you'll lose a good amount of size through your posterior chain, but then you'll be able to add back muscle tissue, and it's going to have a different look. It's going to, again, more of a sculpted look that you're generally looking for. So it's just something to keep in mind and to be patient. You got to trust the process.